タバタせずにコーヒーでも入れよう。
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. How's everybody doing?
Who's not muted?
What? Who? When? Is this thing on?
What a lively intro.
I know. I can't hear you guys. All right. Now I hear you. Hey, how's everybody doing today?
Good. Happy Sunday.
Good. I'm cool. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, everybody. Happy Sunday to you, Tyler Anderson, and happy Sunday to you, Greg Betters, and the other 18 people watching. Happy Sunday to all of yous.
Good morning.
Yeah, got a good group on already. That's nice to see. Everybody's hopefully caffeinated. I know I'm a little over caffeinated, for being honest.
Whether it's coffee or Dr. Pepper, which,
hey, spoilers
for today. Spoilers, yeah.
Spoilers. So what's new with everybody? Anybody got anything cool they got in the mail the last couple of weeks? Oh!
Who's going?
I'm stunned. It's shocking. Rich got some stuff in the mail.
All right, I'll go first.
Yeah, you are going.
There's another box day in the works, but for a couple
You should
weeks.
get a tattoo that says Box Day.
Look, the box days have come down, which is nice. Instead of going from like 16 figures in a box, we've now moved to like 5, which is still ridiculous, technically speaking, but it's not bad. All right, so first up, I hunted down the X Plus, Bandai Namco, Toho Maniacs, Planet X controller. Boom. I was a dumbass and missed that and did not pre-order it, so I had to hunt it down in the aftermarket. So I got it for about $90 off Yahoo Japan. Then in my Bandai quest of hunting down stuff that I used to have, I picked up these two. These are the Hyper Hobby Movie Monster Series, Medical Godzilla, and Fire Truck. Jet Jaguar, my God. I need more coffee or if I had too much. But the Hyper Hobby Jet Jaguars, these are of the original sculpt of Jet Jaguar that came out back in 2006, I believe it was, 2007. So I used to have these, bought them back in like 2013 for what I felt like was easy money, and sold them and rebought them, I think, for about the same price that I sold them for. So it was a total wash. Not bad. And then I'll show that one last. I bought this guy from the Godzilla store. I figured why not, because I made another purchase from the Godzilla store, which was the Flying Hedorah. Honestly, this thing is pretty big. It's twice the size that I thought it was going to be. So totally dig it. Again, I got these from the Japanese Godzilla store through Bai because it hasn't shown up on the American store yet. So I was like, I just want it and get it now. Boom. That's all I got.
Things keep popping up here and there in the store. I've got my fingers crossed that one will.
I'm impatient.
Yeah. I'll probably snag that if it pops up on the U.S. store or from Sean or somebody maybe. I actually got a couple things too. I'm excited. What did I get? I got a couple of these 1-Up figures. I got the 1-Up. There's a bunch of variants, but I got this version of the Desu Goji. Super cool, man. He's awesome. He's got glitter in his all injected inside the vinyl. Super cool. He comes with a little aggregate destroyer, and he comes with a little Junior, and he comes with a Super X3, which is pretty cool. So I dig that. And then I also got the 1-Up 54 Godzilla, which is pretty cool too. He comes with this little train that I'm cheating, and I stuck blue tack on there for him to hold it because I can't figure out how to get him to hold it any other way. But I mean, he's cool, and he comes with the train, and he comes with a little jet, which is cool too. So that's cool. That's it for me. Nothing. I got the Rodan, the Mondo Rodan, but that's old news. I've already there's a review of them on my channel. You can go look at that later. But yeah, so that's it for me. Mike, you have anything new lately?
Just a couple of things. Finally got a -1 Godzilla.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Didn't buy
What do
it
you
the
think of
first
it?
time. Didn't buy it the second time. Finally, Sean restocked it, so I got it from Showcase.
Yeah.
I like it. I don't have a lot to say about it because everyone else has said what they've had to say about this design so far, and I think it's a cool figure. I was expecting it to be a little bigger, but it's fine. I like the wash.
Yeah.
At least it didn't leave it.
Yeah,
one
it's very
color.
minimally painted, but it's not bad.
Spikes are cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think the spikes are very well. The face is nice too for this size.
Yeah.
Cool.
The worst thing about it's the hands. They're just really like, oh yeah, we got to put some hands on him too, I guess. And they just sort of.
I just wanted
hands out of the stumps of his arm.
one figure in my collection, and I also want to get like a 6-inch Bandai of every major Godzilla design from a Toho film at least. I'm not buying all the other shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, as long as I have just this one, I'm happy with it.
Cool.
And I got wasn't a toy, a complete random Amazon purchase.
Yeah.
This stupid book. The official Tokusatsu fans handbook for Gamera Super Monster, which is a guilty pleasure of mine. Somebody mentioned it on the Toho Kingdom forum, so I had to go see if it was still there. And yeah, it was $8. I mean, it's skinny. There's not much. It's like a written audio commentary with timestamps.
Yeah.
That you can funny. This guy seems to know what he's talking about. It's just I like the movie a lot, so I had to get it. It's just cool to have a book based on this movie on my shelf of all films. So yeah, I'm a big Gamera fan, so I had to have that. That's all I've gotten.
Cool.
Yep.
All right, well, we can start because Big Ken's here.
Oh, great. Now we can start. Glad we have his permission.
All right, now we can start. Now we can start. I'm just perusing the comments. Who else is here? Oh, look, everybody. Christine's here.
We'll
she's
get
boycotting
there.
the stream because it's not Godzilla versus. Well, Christine, you should have gotten your army of Christine Luddites to, to spam our poll.
I'm pretty sure if we do another Heisei film at some point and we leave it to a vote, it's going to be Biollante again. So
Biollante goes to the back of the list. So
yep, because it came in second, so now it's last. Yeah,
Space Godzilla's next, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, Christine.
Who else? Who else is here? Franco, RA, hello. Thanks for hanging. Thank you. Yeah. Tyler Anderson, hello. Thanks for joining us. Hello. Noisy Pink Bubble.
Pink Bubble.
Those are the best kind of bubbles. Facebook user, it's our pleasure to do these shows. We do them for you, the people.
Thank you, random faceless Facebook user.
Yeah. So, if you just happen to stumble in here and don't know what's going on, we are going to talk about The Return of Godzilla. One of my personal favorite Toho movies. I like it quite a bit. So we're going to do a little discussion on that, and then we're going to talk a little 85 and talk about a little collectibles based on it. So without further ado, excuse me, pardon me. We will get into that now. And I'm the one who's starting, so I guess I should do it. So yeah, Return of Godzilla. So as most people know, or maybe you don't, as most people know, by the early 70s, the Japanese film industry and the Godzilla series particularly were on not the best ground, partly due to the popularity of television, which really almost bankrupted the entire Japanese movie industry. The success of shows like Ultra 7 and Ultraman, which had weekly monster content, seriously began to cut into the Godzilla audience, which led to budget cuts in the movies in the 70s, which led to lots of stock footage, which led to, in the case of a movie like Godzilla vs. Megalon, you had the script being written as they were actually filming the movie. I think the whole movie was filmed in like 13 days. So lots of cost cutting, which obviously hurt the franchise as a whole. In 1975, Toho tried to turn the franchise around by bringing back Ishiro Honda to direct and Ifukube to score Terror of Mechagodzilla, or Mechagodzilla's Counterattack. The strategy did not pay off. The movie sold only 980,000 tickets, which makes it the worst attended Godzilla film. And it was under those conditions that Godzilla was unofficially retired. So throughout the 70s and the early 80s, several new Godzilla stories were submitted by various writers, but it wasn't until 1984, which was Godzilla's 30th anniversary, that Toho started production on a new movie. So if you jump back to 1979, which was the 25th anniversary of the original Godzilla, is when Tomoyuki Tanaka began seriously planning on reviving Godzilla in a hope to win back American adult audiences. The plan was to return him to his nuclear-powered roots to make him a villain. With that in mind, he decreed the new film would be a direct sequel to the original movie, which would erase any subsequent movie prior to the first one. He hired screenwriter Suichi Nagahara to submit a screenplay, which combined elements of the previously canceled Resurrection of Godzilla, which was from 1980. And I think, and one of you guys or somebody in the audience can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's one of the first, or possibly the first, appearance of Bagan is in that movie?
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So that was a scrapped project. And then there was also a U.S. movie that was going to be in 3D. I believe it was just called Godzilla King of the Monsters in 3D, which was written by Steve Miner, or it was going to be directed by Steve Miner, perhaps. And honestly, like, we could do a whole episode on just unmade Godzilla movies from like 75 to 84. There's a ton of them. So Ishiro Honda was again approached to direct. He declined because he was involved in Akira Kurosawa's Resurrection. He was helping direct a lot of movies with Akira Kurosawa. So they settled on somewhat unknown director Koji Hashimoto, who had directed. He was an assistant director for quite a few films through the 60s and 70s. He directed the box office flop Sayonara Jupiter prior to prior to the return of Godzilla. Akira Ifukube also declined an invitation to score the film. So Reijiro Karuku was tapped to compose the score. And of course, the special effects were once again directed by Teruyushi Nakano. He did a really good job in this one. I actually think he had a decent sized budget, which helps, obviously. A new, meaner looking Godzilla suit was constructed. Godzilla's size was increased from 50 meters to 80 meters to scale him with the skyline of the Japanese cities, which obviously had grown considerably. The suit was to be worn by a guy named Hiroshi Yamakawa, who backed out of production at the last minute, which made them have to scramble to bring in suit actor Kenpachiro Satsuma, who the suit was not made for, so it did not fit him particularly well. He hated wearing it, apparently. It was a 240-pound suit, wasn't made to his measurements. He apparently could only perform about 10 minutes in it, and he lost 12 pounds during filming. In addition to the suit, they built a big-ass robot dubbed the Cybot. It was a 16-foot robot, which you can see here. It was used for close-up shots of the creature's head, mostly. It was hydraulically powered, covered in urethane skin, contained 3,000 parts, which permitted it to tilt its head, move its lips and arms. Ultimately, though, it was more a publicity device than anything. It actually isn't used a ton in the film. It doesn't look very realistic in the film. And it doesn't quite match the suit. The head of the Cybot doesn't match the suit head. So here is the Cybot head. There's the suit head. So you see they kind of don't really match. So ultimately, it was definitely more of a publicity type thing than anything else. Kind of like the Kong robot for the 76 remake of King Kong. Cast was a rather large cast. It stars Ken Tanaka as Goro Maki. It stars, which, guys, why are there so many Goro Makis in Godzilla movies?
That's a really good question.
Because there really are, right?
Multiverse.
It's kind of weird. Yeah, this is he's the third one.
There's one in Megalon.
There's one in
this
Son of
one,
Godzilla,
Son of Godzilla,
and Shin
is it
Godzilla.
Shin Godzilla. So there's 4.
Yeah, it's weird. I wonder if it's like some inside joke.
Maybe.
But but yeah, so Ken Tanaka is Goro Maki. He's the news reporter. You have Shin Takuma as Hiroshi, who, if you watch the movie in the US, you know as Kenny.
Ken!
And then you have Yosuko Sawaguchi as Naoko, who's Naoko in the American version. Keiju Kobayashi as Prime Minister Mitamura. And in a small part, but I stuck him in here because he's so important to the Godzilla series as a whole, Hiroshi Koizumi is Professor Minami. Originally, I do believe that... where's Professor Hayashida? I don't have his
I was
picture in
just
here.
thinking that. Yeah, you don't have.
I do have it. I'll
Fail.
find it. Fail. God. Professor Hayashida was originally approached to be played by the great Akira. Oh God, help me.
Akihito
Harata. Yes, my bad. But he was in fact played by Yosuke Natsuki as Professor Hayashida. Yeah, so pretty good cast. I enjoy. I like the cast of this movie.
I wanted to
There's a
mention.
ton
Oh, sorry, Brian. I want to mention Hirata actually helped promote the film dressed as Dr. Serizawa. He was supposed to be in it, like you said. He only wasn't in it because he passed away.
Yes, he was sick at the time of filming. Correct.
Yeah.
Hey, Rich.
Something like that.
Yeah, he was sick at the time of filming. So, we also got some phenomenal poster art for the movie. I love both of these, are excellent. So December 15th, 1984 in Japan, Godzilla makes his triumphant return to the big screen. And what in the hell was this movie about? Rich, what was it about?
All right, so shooting from the hip. So we're doing 84, right? Godzilla 84.
Godzilla 84, yeah.
Which is basic, yeah, same, similar to 85, but we'll get into that.
Yeah,
So basically, there's this big giant ship. I don't know, it's called what? The Hadamaru. They're out in the middle of the ocean, and they're coming upon this island, and island just erupts, and Godzilla comes out. Basically, the ship is rescued. They go back to Japan, and the sole survivor, Ken, he reports that it was Godzilla. It was huge. And now Japan has to deal with a new Godzilla attack while dealing with the Cold War between the United States and Russia. That's really the gist of it, So another Godzilla attack, Cold War, nuclear missiles, sea louse. That's right. Creepiest looking little creature. Don't want that crawling in your bed bugs at night. But yeah, so that's really the gist of it. Plain and simple.
Yeah. It's a pretty straightforward movie. It's like you said, the ship at the beginning, something happens, kills everybody on board, but it's not Godzilla, which is odd that it's not Godzilla that kills everybody on board. It's actually his mutated parasites that got freakishly large by eating his irradiated blood. Japanese government tries to keep it a secret. Godzilla sinks a Russian sub, which makes it much harder to keep a secret. And, ultimately Godzilla, does his Godzilla thing. They have a secret weapon called the Super X, which appears to kill him.
Cadmium missiles, baby.
Yeah, by shooting cadmium missiles into his mouth. The Russians in the Japanese version accidentally launch a nuclear warhead at Tokyo. which the United States successfully shoots down. Unfortunately, the result of that is that it wakes up the seemingly dead Godzilla, who is now more pissed off. He destroys the Super X. He continues to destroy Tokyo until they are able to successfully lure him using bird calls to Mount Mihara, where they force it to erupt, and he falls in and dies.
There you go.
Yeah, and it's interesting that they've never used that to try to lure him ever again in anything else. Have they ever tried to use a bird call to move Godzilla around?
Right.
Yeah, maybe he learned from his mistakes, and they just, showed it off screen. I don't know, but yeah. So that is the overall plot of the '84 movie.
I do want to add. I feel like Godzilla 84/85 is in the same universe as Rocky 4. I'm just saying, because they feel very similar.
yeah. Especially the '85 version. The '85 version is very much in the whole '80s, like, Russians bad, so. But in the Japanese version, obviously, it portrays Russia and the United States as basically on equal footing. They both kind of want to launch nukes at Japan.
Brian, it's no time to be discussing principles.
Yeah, it's no time to be discussing principles. Yeah. So yeah, the film was a moderate success. It sold 3.2 million tickets in Japan, which earned it 1.7 billion in rentals at the box office, which made it the most successful Godzilla film since, shockingly, Ibira: Horror of the Deep in 1966. I thought it would have been Destroy All Monsters, but shockingly, it was the most successful film since Ibira: Horror of the Deep.
Wow.
So yeah,
bad.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a moderate success, but it was not the blockbuster Toho and Tanaka had hoped for. And as such, Godzilla would go back into hibernation for another 5 years. Meanwhile, in the United States, Roger Corman's New World Pictures had negotiated with Toho for the U.S. distribution rights, and they were planning to recut and re-release the film in the summer of 1985. And that is where Mike will take over to discuss Godzilla 1985, which if I had to guess, is where a lot of us probably saw this movie for the first time. But I guess depending on your age, if you're
the fandom gap is getting wider.
Yeah, I mean, I guess depending on what if you're Gen X or
early millennial,
older millennial, you probably saw Godzilla 85. There's a possibility, I guess, depending on your age now, that it is a lost film and you've never seen it. So, but yeah, Mike, Godzilla 85.
So yeah, Toho did dub this one for export, and that's where the Return of Godzilla name came from. But nobody picked it up. So, like you said, Roger Corman's New World picked it up instead, and decided to redub it, re-edit it. And they had the bright idea to bring Raymond Burr back in to reprise his role as Steve Martin, although in this version, he's only called Mr. Martin because, there is a Steve Martin now. You don't want to confuse the two. Raymond Burr is not a wild and crazy guy. So the idea was to make this a flat-out comedy because they didn't really think anybody was going to take this seriously, because now we're in the 1980s, and by then no one took Godzilla seriously. But luckily, Burr did take Godzilla seriously. He felt the original Godzilla was very important, had a very important message, and he really respected it. So he said, I'm not doing this as a comedy. I'm taking this seriously. The original dub script was written as a complete comedy. But they changed it a bit to accommodate him. And all the comedy goes to one of the, is he a lieutenant? What is he? Travis Ward's character. Military officer who gets all the funny lines, the cringy funny lines.
He's a major.
He's a major with lines like, "That's quite an urban renewal plan we got going on around here. Wonder Lizard's down for the count." And, says, "Oh, he sunk a Russian sub, put a uniform on him and sign him up." Cringy shit like that. Burr, though, takes his role very seriously. A lot of great narration, a lot of great speeches from Burr. He really respects the character. Nobody else involved with the Americanization seems to, but he does. So that does help.
I'll just add, I think Warren Kemmerling, who plays the general, also refused to do the movie if it was shot as a comedy as well. I'm pretty
the way
sure.
the character is presented still, though, walking around going, "What the hell are we dealing with?"
Yeah.
Coming into the war room wearing a polo shirt with a towel around his neck, like,
well, he just got done golfing.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell are we dealing with? Someone needs to get someone who knows something about this.
Yeah.
Like the kind of thing they would parody on South Park.
Yeah.
And a good 20 minutes of the Japanese version was cut, which I guess it's okay because the Japanese version's 103 minutes. This kind of tightens it up a bit because the New World version clocks in at about 87 minutes, so it is significantly shorter. I don't think we lose a lot that's all that important. I don't know how you feel about that, Brian.
I think we lose one thing for sure that I wish we hadn't lost, which is the shot where he is reflected in the building, in the glass of that skyscraper. Right before he picks up the train. Is it right before or right after he picks up the train? It's right
after. The train's in his hand.
Yeah, which is crazy that they cut that out. It's one of the best shots in the movie.
A lot of the special effects scenes are altered and changed around a bit.
Yeah.
When Godzilla shows up in Tokyo Bay, there's a crowd there, which there shouldn't be because it was evacuated.
Because they're all evacuated, yeah.
They cut scenes of Godzilla's giant foot because it was not a really convincing prop.
Yeah, it didn't look right. Yeah. So
crummier
they
shots
shuffled that stuff around
too.
Yeah. The scene where the crowd is running from him at the beginning is actually from after they thought he was dead.
Yeah.
And the crowd gathers around him and he wakes up in the Japanese version. They also cut it so that as soon as the Super X appears in the US version, he hits it with his atomic breath. In the US version, they edited it in there. In the Japanese version, he does not attack the Super X. He just kind of looks at it.
They're trying to make him a lot more aggressive.
Yeah, which I actually like that in the American version.
Because when Hayashida is in the building turning on the bird calls in the Japanese version, he just stands there until a laser cannon hits him. In the American version, he advances on the building and then a laser cannon gets his attention. So they're trying to make him seem a lot more aggressive because I'll be honest, the suit's cool, but he stands around a lot, not doing much of anything in the Japanese version. Once he gets into Shinjuku, he just kind of stands around.
He doesn't do a lot of the suit also is really cool looking from certain angles. Like this angle's great, but front on, I don't think it's a great look for the suit.
Front on, he looks stoned.
Yeah, he looks a little goofy front on.
And it looks like Satsuma's having a hard time walking in it too.
Yeah.
The suit is very stumbly.
Another change I think is immensely for the better in the US version is the opening credits are phenomenal in the US version. The opening, you get more of the theme, you get more of the overall theme of the movie, the theme song, which like the soundtrack to this movie is phenomenal. I love it. It's so good. It is my favorite non-Ifukube Godzilla soundtrack. This dude did an amazing job. It is such a good soundtrack.
I mean, for people who haven't seen the opening, the Japanese version just is like footage of lava.
Very matter of fact.
It's very bland. And the American version has like the lava burning lines into the film, and it's spelling out his name. Yeah. Which is
it's awesome.
It's real, and they cycle the theme a couple of times, so it's like a lot more powerful. And I guess that brings us to the ending, which is the one spot where the American version is infinitely better than the Japanese version. The first thing they do is they take something from the international Toho version, his death scream when he drops into the volcano. Toho came up with that. They put it into the Return of Godzilla. It's not in current prints of that. Apparently, the sound mix for that version is lost, but New World was able to use it, and that actually really helps the ending. That scream as he falls is very dramatic. Then they have Bird do this amazing speech over the music, which is just phenomenal. And if the music isn't going to make you cry, the speech is going to do it. It's a
it made
really
me cry as a little kid.
Me
in the
too.
theater.
And I'm pretty sure he came up with that himself. Like, I wouldn't be shocked.
I wouldn't be either.
And the Japanese version ends with this really terrible pop song.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Goodbye now, Godzilla. Goodbye now, God. And some versions of it are like in the worst possible English you've ever heard. It's really bad.
Yeah, it's terrible.
So in the American version, they just did a suite of the different tunes heard in the movie, which works so much better. I think each version has their pros and cons. I think the American version improves on most things. I just wish it wasn't trying to be funny in some spots. I'll have to admit, I don't think Burr really adds much to the narrative of the film. Like, he just kind of stands around looking serious. His presence doesn't change anything, but it's cool to have him there, I guess.
He says cryptic things that go nowhere.
What about that dragon thing that he's finagling?
And he's holding a weird, Oriental dragon figure or something, and that also goes nowhere.
Yeah, he comes close to mentioning Oxygen Destroyer, but doesn't actually do it.
Yeah,
and they filmed his scenes all in a day, one day.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
3 days of shooting. He insisted on doing it in a single day.
Mm-hmm.
So they got him done in a day. They shot everything else, and that was it.
And he does a good job, and he's good in it. He takes it seriously, which is what you want. So, I mean, we have to talk about the biggest change from the Japanese to the U.S. version, and that is the nuclear missile sequence.
That's a big one. Yep.
So in the Japanese version, the ship that is housing the control panels to launch the nuclear missiles gets damaged by Godzilla, and the missile launches automatically. The countdown begins automatically, and there's a Russian who is crawling through the ship trying to get to the control panel and stop the missile from launching. He says, I've got to stop the missile, so on and so forth. He dies right before the missile launches, and that's how that sequence ends. So in the U.S., of course, in the 80s, that was not going to fly. So it was cut, and the dubbing was changed. The dialogue was changed to him saying things like, "I'm the only one that can do it. I've got to launch this missile." And then he purposely launches it to the point where they actually filmed a additional quick shot of his dying finger pushing the button to launch the missile. So it is a complete change of character. The Russians weren't portrayed as good guys in the Japanese version anyway. They had a boat that could launch a nuclear missile secretly sitting at a dock in Japan. They're still bad guys in that sense, but they're also not. The guy also wasn't insane. It was just like, I'm going to nuke this entire city, just on principle. So that is a huge change from the American or from the Japanese version, and it changes the theme of the what the prime minister is basically saying is nuclear weapons are bad no matter who has them. It changes that to nuclear weapons are bad when certain people have them, and that is a big thematic change of the the movie. And obviously, that's a very American 80s thing to do, having grown up.
Reagan's America, guys.
In the 80s in America. That is very, Russia bad, US good. So not a huge shock. But like I said, I think for most of us at the time, I certainly didn't know. I thought that was the movie. And I saw this movie in the theater. I loved it. I remember when it came out on video. And I got my uncle, he had 2 VCRs, and I got him to make me a copy of it. And I watched that movie endlessly, this copy, until I finally got my own VHS of it. What are your, Rich, what are your Godzilla 85 memories, or Return of Godzilla, whichever you saw first? I would imagine it was probably 85.
Definitely 85. I'm pretty sure that movie we recorded off of TV, off of VHS, when I was a kid. Because I don't have any copy of it other than what's on a VHS, was recorded from TV. I remember it being the first Godzilla movie I watched where it made me really open my eyes and be like, wow, this is a scary Godzilla. And I remember one day, it must have been probably like 92, 93. I don't know, maybe a little before that when I first saw the movie. And I had to been younger, maybe like 1990, 91 or so. And my aunt was over, and I remember saying to her, look, scary Godzilla, and it was the scene where Godzilla is walking through Shinjuku, I think it was, where he's walking by the Toho building, where he purposely says, fuck this building,
Yeah,
and
he drags a hand across it. Yeah,
that wasn't Shinjuku.
He wasn't there yet.
Yeah, but I remember looking over to my aunt saying, look, scary Godzilla. But I watched that movie a lot as a kid, and I watched it with my brother a lot, and we were going back to the end of the film. I remember my brother actually was in tears. Like the music, Raymond Burr's speech. I didn't cry because, we always, being as a Godzilla fan, we knew he was going to come back anyways. And I don't think I saw Godzilla versus Biollante at the time to put two and two together that, Biollante was a sequel. But me and my brother, we watched that movie a lot. My brother references that movie a lot because we watch it so much. And the most important character of the movie that should get nominated for Academy Award is the bum.
Oh, yeah.
Rummaging around Tokyo, and his lines in Godzilla 85 are comically hysterical. He's talking about, waiter, where the hell are you?
Yeah.
Demanding service. He's got like a whole spread of food. He's complaining. It's just so funny. Me and my brother, my brother says it more than I do. Let's do lunch sometime. It's one of the funniest lines, that I know me and my brother would laugh about.
You're starting to become a nuisance.
Yeah. It's so funny. But just so many fun memories of watching that movie again with my brother. I'd have to do probably a whole video. I have to get my brother here because there was a lot of funny shit that we did as kids while watching Godzilla movies where my brother would either make fun of me or be a complete pain in my ass. But as far as the movie goes itself, again, like I said, I kind of feel like it's in the same universe as Rocky IV because they both have that U.S.-Russian vibe.
Yeah.
Like the speech at the end of Rocky IV, if I could change, we all could change. It's kind of like that 80s vibe. But the rest of the movie I thought was really awesome. I love the scene after Godzilla knocks the building down on top of Super X, where he's just staring at the camera, being fuck around and find out type of vibe.
He gives the best roar in that after he does that too.
Slow, deep roar, and the look of the Yuji Sakai X Plus, that look that he's just staring at the screen, just totally don't mess around with this Godzilla because he'll drop a building on you.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the gist of it. I could literally ramble, and I'm out of coffee, so I'm clearly caffeinated now. So.
Yeah.
Mike, take it away.
Yeah, Mike, how about you?
So I didn't see it in theaters. I got into Godzilla a year or two late for that. Probably a good thing I didn't, though, because I saw it. I believe it was its original network airing where it played with the Dr. Pepper commercials. We haven't mentioned those yet.
Hang on. Should we mention those Dr. Pepper commercials? Hang on.
Yeah, because Dr. Pepper sponsored the film.
Yes, there's a lot of product placement.
There's a
Dr. Pepper in this movie. There's a
Dr. Pepper machine in the war room in the American version.
Yes.
Someone holds a can right up to the camera and drinks it. They wanted Burr to do it. He would not do it.
Yeah, he refused
and when
to
the
do
movie aired on television, they played a couple of Dr. Pepper commercials during it. Brian, you have those to show, don't you?
Yes. So welcome to Dr. Pepper and Kaiju. So also to note, before the movie, in theaters and on VHS,
television. And on VHS,
we got the classic Marv Newland cartoon Bambi versus Godzilla, which is like 3 minutes long and it is
Barely.
painfully boring, and
So excited.
nothing happens. So I have condensed it down to this. Here's the climax of the classic Bambi versus Godzilla. Enjoy. So yes, that set the tone for
Yep.
for the theatrical release, and so basically saying, don't take this too seriously, because we're not taking it seriously, even though the movie was played pretty straight in the U.S.
And then you got the Dr. Pepper commercials too.
So then we got Dr. Pepper commercials, which I don't remember seeing them while the movie when it was in its theatrical run. Although, to be fair, I think the movie was in its theatrical run for like 3 weeks. So it's, but
Yeah,
I definitely
long.
remember seeing these commercials after the fact. So you had two different ones. You had this one. This is the first one.
The monster! Godzilla! The monster!
We must stop Godzilla before he destroys the city. Oh! What could he want? Unless we find something to appease him, we're doomed!
Hold out of the ordinary. Hold out for Dr. Pepper.
I love it.
So then, because all good Godzilla movies deserve sequels, we got this one.
What could she want? Unless Godzilla finds something to appease her, we're doomed!
Because women be dying, yo.
I mean, look, to be fair, they did make some miniature sets and stuff for
That's
those
cool.
commercials.
I mean, I wanna blame those commercials for my love of Dr. Pepper, my unironic love of Dr. Pepper. Yes, I drink soda. I'm not ashamed of it. But I do love Dr. Pepper, and I think it's cool Godzilla was involved to some degree with that. But yeah, the movie itself, I saw it when it first aired on TV, and the ending wrecked me. I was 7 or 8. And it wrecked me. Up until that point, I had seen Smog Monster, Destroy All Monsters, Terror Mechagodzilla. So I was used to just one type of Godzilla. I hadn't seen the first one yet, or Raids Again. So it was traumatic. I remember being absolutely hysterical over the ending. And because of that, I didn't watch the movie a lot as a kid because it was traumatic. I mean, even these days, I get like this. I do get choked up watching the end, and I remember how upset I used to be, so that it triggers something in me. But it's never going to be one of my favorite Godzilla movies. It might not even be in my top 20, but I enjoy it when I watch it. Like I just recently watched it this week for this episode. I watched Return of Godzilla and 85 back to back, and it's a really well made film. I do really enjoy, and it sticks with you after you watch it. What I think I love most about it is it's the only Godzilla movie made in the 80s. I mean, Biollante, yeah, but that's got one foot still in the 90s, one foot into the 90s pretty much. You got Kawakita too, so it feels more of piece with the later films. This one's the only Cold War Godzilla movie, and it's got like this 80s-ness to it that I really appreciate. And it's got a great budget. Like the buildings are huge, the Godzilla suit's cool. It's not perfect. I think both versions are pretty decent. You can't go wrong with it. That's really.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot to say, as much as I would say about other films. I just think it's a good movie. It's just a shame that you can't see 85, at least legally anymore. You know, was really out there a lot all the time. I mean, I have the VHS. In the 90s, every video store had it. It was on TV a lot. It aired as late as 98. I remember my Channel 11 station around here showed it before. Because of the 98 film came out. But ever since then, it's just really disappeared. I mean, like you said, Brian, there's a whole generation, or two at least at this point, who probably never seen it. Yeah. For them, it's a lost movie.
Yeah.
I mean, even the Japanese version. I mean, it came out in 2016, but this has been a print for a while too. So Pluto TV hasn't shown it. You can't legally see it.
Yeah. So for me, because Christine is right, I am old. I was very hyped up for this movie. I remember the lead up to it all the way back in as far back as like December of 1984, hearing about it just on various like news, whatever, reading magazine articles about it. I remember the build up to it coming out. I was super, super hyped. I remember cutting the ad out of the paper when it finally, hit theaters, and I had that cutout ad for years. I had the People magazine review of the movie that I had cut out of a People magazine that I was actually looking for this morning. I do have it somewhere still. So I remember, going to see that in the theaters. I was super excited. It was the summer after I finished elementary school. So I would have been getting ready to go into 6th grade. And it was the first Godzilla movie I'd ever seen in theaters. It was the first Godzilla movie I'd ever seen where he was the bad guy. I had never seen the original Godzilla or Godzilla Raids Again. I actually saw the original Godzilla, I want to say, like shortly after this one, because it seemed like they started showing a lot of Godzilla movies on TV after this hit theaters. But yeah, loved it. I was crushed at the ending because at the time, it was 1985. There were no, there were no other Godzilla movies that I knew existed. So to me, he was dead. You know what I mean? So I remember being really sad leaving the theater, but also like loving it. I fucking loved it. Like the look of the suit was incredible to me. I remember all the shots where he would roar and the way the lips would curl back over his teeth. I thought was incredible. I thought the buildings and the skyscrapers and everything looked so real and so cool. I loved that it all took place at night, and I thought it was super moody. It was really cool. I actually was looking, like I said, I was looking for that People magazine article, and I couldn't find it, but I did find some of the amazing artwork I drew when I got home from seeing it in the theater. So there's that beauty there, and then there's this one that I drew.
Oh, you gotta frame these.
Yeah, this one even's dated by me. Age 11. I was an artiste, and this one I remember drawing as soon as I got home too. So,
yo, your Super X, that is awesome.
I love the Super X, right? Look at
Super X.
Look at that.
Good. Look, that was all from memory.
Oh, come on, Brian. You drew that last night, and you know
it. So yeah, but yeah, man, I loved it. So yeah, and there weren't, like I said, eventually I got the VHS, but I just had a copy. I had a copy of a copy probably, and I wore it out. So
I still have that original TV airing on VHS. I saved the tape from storage.
God, I wish I did. I
need to find a way to transfer that to DVD if the tape even works. I have no way of knowing for sure, but I did save it recently from storage.
All right, let's catch up. There's a ton of comments, so I want to get some of these comments in here because, some of these are true. Dr. Pepper was a main character. Yeah, see, it was. You were right. It was.
And Dr. Pepper was celebrating its 100th anniversary.
Yeah, it was actually. Now that you mention it, because 1885 is on the side of all the cans and bottles.
Yeah. I agree with Leslie here. Raymond Burr's ending speech makes the 85 better than the 84. I agree, man. Like, I think the 85 version is, if I'm going to pick one to watch, I'm going to watch the 85. It's basically the same movie, just with slightly better pacing and some unnecessary stuff added in, but the stuff that's taken out isn't, Ken, 100% agree with that. One of my all-time favorite Godzilla scores. I wish he would have come back to score Biollante. Yeah, I agree.
I would never objected to that. Biollante's score is not as great as people say it is.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic score. It's really well done. Really good. Christine, what are you talking about? Oh, the scream.
The death scream.
Yes, the scream. Yeah. I remember my dad kind of giggling, or not giggling, but like chuckling under his breath at the scream while I'm sitting there trying not to cry in the movie theater. Yeah, let's see. Giving
Because in the
Rambo a lot of
Japanese
credit
version,
for-
he just falls in. He doesn't even like react. It's just like,
Yeah,
oh, here I go. I
yeah.
tripped. I fell in.
Yeah.
But
Leslie's making a lot of good points. Dude, this scene here that he's talking about, when he nukes the entire bridge, the military all along the dock is fucking incredible.
yeah,
I love it. That should have been, that's one of my complaints of the movie. That should have been the first time he uses his atomic breath, but he uses it really quick against the jets before he approaches the dock in a throwaway scene where there's no build up to it at all. He just does it, and one of the jets, and he hits one of the jets.
camera's like behind his head when he does it. So it's like it's weird.
It's so weird that they would have done that when they have that incredible shot of him, a minute later in the movie, using it to wipe out an entire, military platoon. So, yeah, I agree.
What's great about that scene is after the hell breaks loose, everything's silent, and he's just standing there looking at.
Yes, and then he roars. It's so good.
Yeah,
definitely
so good. Yeah. Again, Leslie with another good point. The Soviet sub scene is really good. In both versions, it's really good. A lot of tension. I really like that scene too. The music in that scene is really good. Music in the whole movie is just great. Just great.
I think the American version does something better too. The Japanese version includes a scene of them, like it's like we're not even like 10 minutes in, and they're showing him pictures of Godzilla while he's in the hospital.
Yeah.
And they're already like, oh yeah, Godzilla's back. He exists. It makes more sense to not talk about him or mention him until after the Russian sub goes down.
Yeah, I agree. It's weird in the Japanese version. They're just very matter of fact with it. Like, yep, oh, here Godzilla's back. And there's such more buildup and dread in the American version. Again, there's probably a perfect version out there that you could make by eliminating some of the sillier stuff from the American version, adding in a few of the shots from the Japanese version, like the one I mentioned where he goes past that building. But again, they cut out that silly shot with the priest in the Japanese version, which is where the priest smiles at him on the train.
What was up with that?
Just so weird. I don't know. I've never understood that scene. Facebook user. I don't know who this is, but Godzilla 85 was my very first Godzilla film and favorite to this day. Funny thing is, I was introduced to Godzilla with the large, that large Imperial Godzilla. We're going to talk about that.
Yep, we're
in
getting
a little
there.
bit, but yeah, that's a great toy, man. What else we got? What's this say? If you watch, yes, I know. If you watch the end of Godzilla versus
the toes relax.
His claws and his feet move. Yeah. Cybot, of course. Nev, I know you love the cyborg bot. It is a pretty cool.
They got a lot out of that
thing.
Cybot. They were using that thing to like promote Space Godzilla like a decade later.
Really? That thing still exists. Wow.
Yeah, the skin and all, like to promote the 40th anniversary, they even pulled that thing out.
Yeah.
I wonder if they still have it.
Appreciate it. I try, Nev. I try. Yeah, I wonder if they do have like the skeleton of it somewhere floating around. That would be pretty cool.
Or even at least bits and pieces of it, like the head or something like that.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about, like any good Godzilla movie, there were, of course, things to buy. So starting off, collectible-wise, big surprise, Bandai.
So we don't really have to go into this one very much. Just go back and watch our last episode.
Yeah, we talked about this last or 2 weeks ago, quite a bit. But that is the Bandai 84. It is, like we discussed, it's leaves a little bit to be desired. Not great. Then we had the release of this set in 1999, if we're sticking with Bandai, and that would be the Hyper Hobby set, I want to say.
Well, Hyper Hobby is something else. It's just the Hyper. The toys were called Hyper Godzilla.
Hyper Godzilla?
Because they were first called Big Godzilla, then Super Godzilla, then Hyper Godzilla. Yeah, I have the set over here too.
Man, I wish I still had my box. I wonder if I do.
Never even opened this.
Oh, wow. Look at you.
It's still taped.
You've never
That's
opened
awesome.
it?
Never. It's still taped.
That's cool.
No.
Yeah, I have. Here's the figure. It's a cool. Oh, Mike, you have yours in the box too.
Yep.
Man.
I took the figure I took out. So here he is.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, here's the figure.
okay.
Yeah, he's
Well-
a cool. This is a fun set. These are nice little, well sculpted little figures. It's got
Yeah.
what's it got? A 54, a 62, a 64,
The 84,
an
Burning, and
84.
2000.
Yeah, 95 and a 2000. Yeah, it's a cool set.
Yeah, these
Got
kind
it.
of toys they were
Jim
doing
Sternella
since
back in the day.
they were
Yeah.
doing since Mechagodzilla had come out in '93, in a hard plastic and like individual boxes, and they would put them all together in a set. So this
Yep.
was the set they did for Godzilla 2000, and was their first really good 84, like the first time they really went back to that suit.
Yes, and then they kept their good 84 vibes going when they released the Memorial Box and this 84, which is a fantastic figure that all of us in attendance have, I think,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
Mine's
yeah.
in the box. I didn't bother taking it out. I'm sure I
Yeah,
knew one of
but
you was going to have
Great
it.
figure, great figure, great figure. Yes, Rich.
It's
great figure.
it's definitely one of the highlights of that set.
Yes.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I think it still is, but thinking back to the 50th anniversary Memorial Box set, like the 84, and along with some of the other new sculpted Bandai figures, just like set the standard for like, oh my godness.
Yeah, they really outdid themselves with that set. And so
Yeah,
Bandai has
agree.
kept that figure exclusive, even though they've re-released it a few times. Obviously, the figure, the one Rich is holding, was part of the Memorial Box, which was big, was expensive, was limited. But then they re-released
that's the re-release.
it. Oh, that's the re-release from what was it, last year?
Yeah.
So he's got that one too. How would you compare them? What would you say is the better of the two of them?
The Memorial Box is the better of the two. It has the better paint job, better paint highlights.
Yeah.
Not knocking the reissue. It's just the nails, dorsal plates kind of stand out a little bit better on the Memorial Box version. I just think it has a better paint job.
He's got his chest and his knees have some paint on them too, which
Yeah.
is nice. Yeah.
So Memorial Box for the win.
And the other one's from the Godzilla store, so even that's exclusive. In 2008, they did 4 sets of DVD releases, and each set was sold with a limited Bandai, I believe. And one of the sets had the 84, and all the spray was silver. That one is super crazy rare. So 3 times, all exclusive, all hard to get.
Yeah. Then we have Marmot. They did in their Globster line. They did this guy here, which not great. Not great. Here, we'll show Mike. Oh, wait, that's me.
That's you.
Well, hang
Oh,
on.
you got
There
yours,
it is.
yeah. Show yours.
Yeah, there he is. From the front, it's okay. The side, the neck is way too fat. Nothing, certainly nothing special there.
No.
However, their next Marmots, the Monster Heaven figures are phenomenal.
Cybot
there
again.
are 3 of those, based on the Cybot. And then the 2 probably most popular and hard to find ones are those 2. And the Glowy is one of my personal grail figures, but I have the red, and he is a beaut. Hang on, which one is that? Let's get Rich on here.
I got which one? This is one of the US releases, the blue one.
That's the diamond one.
Diamond, there you go. Yeah. I was
Yeah.
almost gonna say Mondo. I knew it wasn't
Yeah, I had that one, and I sold it like a dummy.
I had the original mail away. I think it was if you want to pull up the pictures of all of them, I'm just curious which one I had. I think the one all the way on the right. I don't remember who I sold that one to.
Yeah, they're great. They're all really nice. Here's my red one. I actually have a full review of this guy on my channel, where I also talk about some other of my Godzilla 85 collectibles. So those are the Marmots. Then, of course, X Plus did this one, which is the 30 centimeter, which is nice.
If you haven't seen my review from back in 2013, where the Jack Daniels bottles the size comparison, you're not living life, and you need to fix that. Thank you.
Go look at it. Then we got this one, which is the 25 centimeter, correct?
Yep.
That one's nice as well. I mean, they're all nice. And then my favorite of them is the Yuji Sakai, of course, is going to be absolutely beautiful. And then they did a Defa-reel of him holding the reactor, which is pretty cool.
Can we talk about that one real quick, briefly?
Yeah, man.
So when I first got the Defo-reel, I was like, it's got to be a way to take the reactor off because it's glued to the figure. But I was like, there's got to be a way. So I heated the damn thing up and managed to get it off. But you don't want to do that because you'll end up leaving like a paint glue rub there.
Is it glued to his chest?
Yeah, it was.
Ah.
But it's fine. You know, I don't mind making a sacrifice for curiosity. But, I've just put it back in his hands. Because I think the standard didn't have the reactor.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Pretty
Interesting.
sure. Yeah. Anyway.
And then in no real order of release because it's all whatever, but we had NECA put out this one, which is not a great figure, very flawed, but it's better than their prototype, which was this, which, Jesus Christ.
What the hell were they thinking?
It's so bad.
They were drinking
so bad.
Daniels. That's what they were doing.
It's so bad.
I think that was only like one of their second figure and just a fan outrage at that one. People were really upset.
It's one of the few times I remember fan outrage like changing something like this. It's so funny they went back and changed it. And apparently somebody went off the clock, NECA, and like resculpted a head like on his own time because he saw how much negative feedback there was. So we ended up with this one. And I mean,
it's still not
great either.
Much better.
The lower jaw, yeah, it's way better, but the lower jaw is just.
But here's the thing. Like, I forget where I saw. Oh, all right. So when they announced that figure and they showed it like that, like no one on that board of approvers or whatever, the sculptors, like they all thought, "Hey, this looks great." Like, what is wrong with you? Like, how? Like,
I mean, good God, man.
As terrible as it is,
guys, this looks great. Let's promote this. Like,
I also think they underestimated how angry Godzilla fans were going to get because Godzilla fans get
that might have
angry.
been it. Yeah. And we've got the Enraku and Saku Cybot version, which is a pretty nice figure. I do not have. I have some Enraku and Saku stuff, but I don't have this particular one. I think every time I've looked him up on Yahoo Japan, he's been more than I want to spend for a figure that I don't think is great. Sculpt wise, it's okay. Mondo had a bunch that they've done. I do have one here. I have this guy. He's nice. I keep forgetting to check if he glows in the dark. I don't think he does, but he might. Actually, I think he does.
I like the fins on that one.
Yeah, he's nice. It's a nice sculpt. Mondo does good work, I think. With their stuff. So that's the Mondo. And of course, in the US, we got, and it blew my mind when I saw it in Toys R Us because at that time, the only Godzilla toy I knew of was the Shogun Warriors one. But we got the Imperials, which came in two sizes. You had the big 13-inch, and then you had the 6-inch. And that is those. And I think Mike, crazy, there it is. Mike still has his original.
This is my original.
Yeah,
so this one is
stupidly sold mine.
Old.
Yeah, I wish I had never sold mine.
My original big one and both of I had two small ones.
Yeah, such a great toy.
Big one's in my kid's collection now. I let her keep it. I mean, it's big. You can't destroy this thing. This thing went to the sandbox with me, to the playground with me. It went everywhere, and it's solid.
Yeah. Yeah, I used mine a lot. I would build Lego cities and the Lego Super X and have them fight, all that stuff.
He's crying.
Yeah, mine had a kind of a goopy eye too.
With the bloody lips.
Yeah.
Oh wait, Rich's is crying too in the same spot.
I thought I got somebody that was just not having a good day at work when they were painting it. That is interesting. Yeah. Now I will also say, when I was a kid, I thought this would make a great weapon to hit my brother with because
it's solid.
It was, yeah. And then
these are my two first Godzilla figures ever. Boom.
Same with me.
Yeah.
This is like one of the most definitive American collectibles. It truly is.
Yep.
Yeah, it really is. And then we also had this here.
I had that
giant 6-foot inflatable Godzilla, which you can find one of these that doesn't have any holes in it good on you.
Well, I got two more I want to show real quick.
Okay.
I forgot to show this. This is what came. Super X came with the X plus 25 centimeter figure.
Came with this one.
Yeah. Yep. So I sold that figure, but I kept the Rick Extra because Super X. And then I have it in a box somewhere else. There's the Toho Machine Chronicle sets. There was 2 sets. There's a Super X with that one, and then also the Yuji Sakai appearance.
I love those sets.
Oh,
Yeah.
do I have that?
There was this
No, I don't
one.
have that one. That's a beautiful one.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't
that's awesome.
dig it.
Yeah,
Those are
that's so
some
cool.
great sets. It's cool to have all of them lined up.
Oh, and then there was the Sea Louse that came with the 30 centimeter Rick, which this is also being reused. I believe it's going to be the same sculpt. They're just putting a harpoon through it for the Cybot 30 centimeter that comes out. So we'll see when that comes out on comparison.
Bandai did a Sea Louse little candy toy way back in the 90s. I know I have that somewhere. I just don't know where it is.
For the blow up. So when I was I think I was a junior in high school. A bunch of us decided to make a stop motion movie called using G.I. Joe figures called G.I. Joe's Last Stand. And at the end of the movie, well, part of the plot of the movie was that Godzilla comes back to life and fights the G.I. Joes. G.I. Joe and Cobra have to team up to fight Godzilla. To do the Godzilla effect, we built a city using cardboard for buildings and stuff like that. They were tall. Some of them were taller than me. And we had a 6-foot inflatable Godzilla, and we cut it open, and we stuffed my cousin in it, who was probably 10 or 11. He was big enough to fit in it, and we stuffed him in it, and we filled in all the gaps with like pillow packing material. So like the head was filled with all that, and we filmed a whole day of him destroying this model city and fighting G.I. Joes and stuff. And that's what became of my 6-foot inflatable Godzilla. And there's no known footage of that movie. I think the guy I went to high school with says he has all of the footage in a box somewhere in his house. But yeah, it's my lost Godzilla film.
Nice.
So
hey, real quick, Colt Dog pointed out if you were ever watching the show Roseanne back in the 90s, there was an Imperial Godzilla standing on their back, piece of furniture in their living room, and
it was by their fireplace.
Yeah, every time the show was on, I was always like, "Where is it? There it is!"
Yep.
Like I knew it was there, but I just represent.
There was so I remember this vividly. There was an episode of Roseanne where she was being interviewed for something, and she was touring her house with a person. She picked the figure up and goes, "And this is one of our most prized possessions." So they acknowledged that figure was always on the show,
and they held it in high regard, which is very nice.
Yeah.
They knew what was up.
Let's check back in the comments because, man, there are a lot of comments. Marmot, yes, you're right. Marmot is good. Let's see. One of the better Defereals. Yeah, that Defereal is great. I love that thing. What's up, Mark? Yeah, you're right. NECA going to NECA. NECA going to NECA. Yeah, the 80... We were actually discussing this 84 NES Godzilla that Kaiser's mentioning here. And we were trying to determine in that game, because I said I just played through the NES game like a month ago. Is that supposed to be Godzilla from Godzilla 85? It's just sort of a generic.
Based on
Godzilla.
the fins, it looks very 62, 64.
They used the 84 sculpt, the figure itself, and updated the dorsal plates. But when you play the game, what you see in the game is what NECA was going for the figure.
Yeah.
So because in the game it's really a combination of 54. And now that I think about it, Godzilla -1, those big ass dorsal plates. So
yeah. So those are the collectibles, or just not all obviously are the collectibles, but some of the collectibles. Based on the movie, and I'm curious in the notes how many people have seen Godzilla 85 or you can see it. It's not impossible to see. It's not. You can definitely go see it, but it is basically lost media. I think at this point, like you can't. It's definitely not something that you can. Short of buying the VHS and a VCR, there's really no way to see an official version
Not
of this
legally.
movie. Yeah. So, yeah. Some other collectibles worth noting. This incredible soundtrack, Rich. I'm going to get you this soundtrack. Really nice. Came out a couple years ago. It's got a cool little pop up, which is neat. Also got this set from there was a cool comic book shop near me growing up that always had cool stuff, and he had this Godzilla. It's a still card set, so it's just a bunch of different cards. They're pretty large. So that also, Rich, what did you have?
Real quick. So regarding Godzilla 85, if you want to watch it, I mean, I'm not going to get in trouble because it's not on my YouTube channel. But go on YouTube, search in the search bar Godzilla 1985. The whole movie's on there. It's by a user called Not Much.
Yeah, it's also on the Internet Archive, which you can actually, the Internet Archive's pretty cool. It is an archive for media. It's probably a gray area with a lot of it, but you can find a lot of things on the Internet Archive that are kind of lost, depending on what you're looking for. There's a ton of stuff on there. You can definitely see it, and it's worth seeing. It's well done. Whether they intentionally did it well or it just it's a happy accident that it turned out well, I don't know. I don't think they cared all that much. I think they cared enough to make it decent. They reshot the title sequence, like we said, which is a fantastic title sequence. They put in a really good ending, which is one of the probably really sums up Godzilla in a way that like how he's intended to be, which is like punishment for man being for man's hubris, so to speak. So I think that's cool that they understood that at least and put that in there. So that's cool. Rich,
Hello.
anything coming up of note on the channel?
I just did a poll on my Instagram channel, Instagram page, for what I should do for my next review. It was either X Plus or Bandai, and X Plus won that vote. So I'm probably going to do I'm probably going to do the Godzilla 2021 from Godzilla vs. Kong. I have the X Plus 25 centimeter. So I'll probably work on that either today and throughout this week to have that ready to go. And then that's it.
Yeah, somebody up here in the notes asked, and it was a while ago, so I'm not going to be able to find it. So I apologize to the person who asked, but they did ask if we were going to discuss Godzilla X Kong, and yeah, there'll be a full-on episode where we review it. We'll probably do like a round table like we did for -1, I guess. I don't think David Dopko will participate because I think he's not going to see it, but that's fine.
More power to him.
We'll try to get the usual suspects though. We'll see if Nev wants to jump on. We'll see if Christine wants to jump on. We'll try to get Dutch, so that'll be cool. Yeah, Mark is correct. Internet Archive. That's where I got my version of it. It's I have it saved to a hard drive, and I watch it. I just have the hard drive plugged into my TV. I have tons and tons and tons of Godzilla media on this hard drive, and I just kind of watch it whenever I want.
That's where all the 4K versions are right now. Internet Archive.
Yeah.
And Return of Godzilla just got remastered in 4K in Japan. No release yet, but
I would like to see that. I bet it's beautiful.
I haven't checked Internet Archive, but since it's already aired on TV in Japan, it might be there. I don't know. I haven't looked.
Yeah. Cool. As for me, I just did a video on the Rose Biollante, the Bandai Rose Biollante, which is up on my channel. And I am probably going to review one of these one-up figures sometime early this week and get that up. So that's cool. And I think that's it. And then we'll be back here in 2 weeks, and I don't know what we're going to talk about yet.
We'll figure it out.
we'll figure something out. And then I assume the episode after that will be Godzilla X Kong. And we'll probably do a whole episode dedicated to that, I would imagine. So that'll be fun. So yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. I do appreciate it. We're gonna go out today with a little bit of a different ending. We are going to go out with the Raymond Burr speech from the end of Godzilla 1985. So if you've never seen it,
Grab your hanky.
Get your tissues ready, and get ready to really just be amazed. Now it actually is really good. But thanks everybody for tuning in. Rich, Mike, you got anything you want to add real quick at the end here?
No, I'm good.
You're good.
Buy vinyl, fresh vinyl.
Yes, always buy vinyl and make sure it's fresh vinyl.
That's what's up.
Not stinky, rotten vinyl. The worst kind of vinyl. Look, we got 5 new comments. Good God, people. Goodbye now, God. No, don't put that song in my head. I don't want it in my head.
I gotta go watch the Japanese version now.
Yeah. Oh man, greetings from Argentina. Hello, greetings from Pennsylvania.
New York.
Watch the replay.
All right, guys. Raymond Burr is going to take us out of here. Everybody have an enjoyable rest of your weekends. We'll see you all here in 2 weeks. Go check out Rich's channel. Go check out my channel. Subscribe, like, do all that stuff you're supposed to do. Turn on some things. Go bye. Bye.
Nature has a way sometimes of reminding man of just how small he is. She occasionally throws up the terrible offsprings of our pride and carelessness to remind us of how puny we really are in the face of a tornado, an earthquake, or a Godzilla. The reckless ambitions of man are often dwarfed by their dangerous consequences. For now, Godzilla, that strangely innocent and tragic monster, has gone to Earth. Whether he returns or not, or is never again seen by human eyes, the things he has taught us remain.